Welcome to Engine Adventures. We're in the same spot we were last week with that Kia Telluride, but this week we've got the 2020 Infiniti QX80. This is the Nissan Armada, but Infiniti's version of it, or the Nissan Patrol in other countries. It is a body-on-frame, 3-row, 7-passenger SUV, and has the 5.6 liter V8 with 400 horsepower and 401 foot-pounds of torque. I don't know, I'll put that on the screen. It is a little bit nicer than the Armada. The Armada we drove was the Platinum Reserve, which is the highest end. This is kind of the lowest end of the Infiniti QX80, and it's definitely got more sound deadening. It's a little bit nicer ride, quieter inside, and has some pretty cool features. But let's jump into it a little bit and see what we have going on. Let's pop the hood real quick. This engine, it's hard to pick up the sound of it on camera, but it is one of the best sounding engines available. It's gonna honk. Hey, it didn't honk this time. All right, so there you go, the 5.6 liter V8. This thing is an awesome engine. Sounds wonderful, plenty of power. It's got a 7-speed transmission, and I love that it doesn't have to be downshifting all the time to get up to speed. It does have pretty awesome fake vents there. As far as I can tell, they don't do anything, which, you know, that I don't like. I prefer everything to be functional. This is the Edition 30, so 30 years of Infiniti, and it has some pretty cool color features and stuff we'll jump into. I like this dark chrome a lot more than the bright chrome. Imagine this color of chrome being everywhere. Don't know how well the camera picks that up, but the fog lights, just like the Armada, in order for the fog lights to be on, your headlights have to be on, so there is that. It does come with approach lighting underneath those running boards, so if you walk up to it at night, you'll see the ground light up underneath you. And then with the Edition 30, you get these 22-inch rims, which give you a tiny sidewall. So inside, this one does have the dual screens. I don't know, the navigation's in night mode right now for some reason. There we go. So it does have the dual screen system, and I don't know yet if I prefer this over the single screen. This one screen is pretty small, so if you only had one, that's a little bit small for today's standards. But having the two screens, it just takes a little bit of getting used to. And I almost prefer the look of the single screen with the clock right here and just all the regular switch gear. But this works really well too. It has the Apple CarPlay and whatever else here. You can access a bunch of different stuff, and then that top screen is basically your navigation, but you can put up a few different screens. Let's see if I can find the one I was on earlier. There it goes. So you can put up the music, the weather, sports, the clocks. I had the fuel mileage up earlier, which, as you can imagine, is not great. It's that one right there. So it's not showing the average right now, but it's been averaging about 15 miles per gallon, maybe slightly better, which I guess isn't terrible, but this thing is just so massive with that big V8, a 26-gallon tank. I would like to see maybe a 30 or a little bit more, 32-gallon fuel tank if they could fit it in there, to make this thing have a further range. I've already used about a half a tank, and I haven't gone hardly anywhere besides to work and back. So 7-speed automatic transmission. You can lock it into a gear like pretty much every transmission today, and this kind of controls your map, but it is touchscreen, so it doesn't really matter. You don't have to do this. And it does have the surround view cameras, which are very nice. They do come on automatically, so if you get close to something and the parking sensors pick it up, it flips the cameras on for you, and then it will flash yellow. Well, we can go show you right now. Let me turn the camera back off. changing the modes. So as I get close to this wall over here, you'll see the camera automatically turn on, and then it flashes yellow, letting you know right where you are. So when you are off-road, it gets a little annoying and you have to turn off the sensors, because it's picking up the ground, it's picking up whatever around you. So inside, this thing is really nice. The leather is really good, high quality soft leather. It has a small sunroof by today's standards, but I don't care. Not into sunroofs. And my sunglasses do fit in there, which, again, you guys know, not too many vehicles do have enough space for these Tifosi Jet sunglasses. Interesting thing in the center armrest. So I have the seat all the way down, and as you can tell, hopefully, when I rest my arm on there, my elbow doesn't even touch. So I have to lean over to get my elbow to touch. And that's with the seat all the way down. I prefer to raise the seat up, especially for off-roading. I raise the seat up and move it a little bit closer to the steering wheel, so that gives you, or makes it easier to handle, less fatigue throughout the day. But the thing about this is that is a fridge unit for other vehicles, or sorry, other packages. So like I said, this is kind of the lowest end package, and you do have the optional fridge with the power button right there. And they should either make it deeper or raise it up a little bit. Here on the back, it has this button, and it allows the rear seat passengers to access that same center console from the back. So this one does have heated seats on the front. The only thing it's missing here are the cooled seats, and plenty of power output. I'll double check. I believe there is a wireless charging option. This one does not have that. The four-wheel drive system, same thing as the Armada. Here in America, we get the auto 4 high 4 low with snow, tow, and off for the traction control. In other countries, there's a diff lock button and a rock mode as well. We don't get that here in the US. Another thing, I think I've shown you before, I think on the Armada actually, but there are a few vehicles, a couple Toyotas and stuff, that have these adjustable headlights. So you can make the headlights point. As you do move that up to 3, that'll aim the headlights lower on the front, and then 0 makes it higher. So if you load a bunch of cargo in the back, and the back squats, or you're pulling a trailer or whatever, you can lower your headlights so you're not blinding people in front of you. It does have the heated steering wheel, of course, and the whole wheel is heated. I forgot to mention that on some of the other vehicles, both the Telluride and the Chevy Blazer, I believe the whole steering wheel was heated. It does have the information there in the center that you can change, but there aren't a lot of options. I would like to see a little bit more here where you can scroll down through. So basically the gauges you have are your coolant temp, your oil pressure, and your battery voltage and fuel. So you don't get to see your oil temperature, your trans temp. Those are the 2 that I would like to see on there, but they could add some more, definitely add more gauges to there. It does have the adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, all that fun stuff. One quick thing in here is that there is a vent up here in this speaker, which right in here, there's a speaker in there and a vent, and the vent blows air up and over and right onto the driver's head, and I love it, especially for cooling. So when it's hot out, that is the best vent ever. Let's go ahead and jump in the back, middle row for starters, and then we'll jump in the back. USB power ports. These ones right here, there's little cutout spots so they can put in the heated seats in the rear. Like I said, this is kind of a base model. The DVD stuff would go here, or the video for the screens, video controls, sorry. This one is captain's chairs, and this center armrest is fixed there. You can take it out, I guess. I'm sure you could figure out a way to unscrew it and take it out. So to get to the rear seats, first, so that's my driving position, and you can see I have plenty of room here, but these seats do not slide forward and back. They have these hinges here on the front, and you just grab this handle to get into the rear. As you can tell, there's no way for that to slide, but if I jump back here in the rear and throw the seat down, I have enough room, but my feet are really cramped. So if I could slide that seat forward just like a few inches, it would make it so that there was enough room for, you know, adults all the way throughout it comfortably. I mean, I could fit here, I could go for, you know, a short trip or whatever, an hour, but longer than that, it would start to really bug me. But the rear seats do have, you can fold them here, but you can also recline it more. So the rear seat passengers can adjust how they want it. And let's go around to the back. So it's easy to use those seats. It's just a pain. If you have car seats, you can't get into the back. They don't slide forward or anything, so the access makes it kind of hard. Back here, so you do have the power controls to fold the seats, but it takes about a month, so I'll just go a little bit. And as you can tell, if you've got all day, that's fine. Actually, let's just go ahead and put them all the way down and we'll look in there. But I mean, it takes a little while to put those all the way down. I forgot to mention there are no charging ports or anything for the third row seats. The second row did have those couple of ports there. Over here you have the power outlet, 12 volt, and then the seats are all the way down. I can't make them go down any further, and you can see there's a bit of an angle there, but you do get some additional tie down points throughout the back. Under here, that's just the front license plate mount. There's a little bit of storage there, and then your jack is there with all your tools. So the spare tire on this thing is actually a 20-inch, got a 20-inch rim on it. So it's a full-size spare with a 20-inch rim. Underneath here, you just pop these clips down. I can't do it because my hands are really cold right now, but pop those clips down, and then you can take this cover off and get to the trailer hitch receiver, which this thing can tow 8,500 pounds, and it does not come standard or optional with a trailer brake controller. Ford offers that in the Expedition, and that is about the only SUV that you can get a trailer brake controller in, which is kind of lame. Something this size, body on frame SUV, why does it not have the option to get a trailer brake controller, either standard or optional? Anyway, that's a little gripe I have with it. Let's go ahead and get some off-road shots outdoors. Hopefully I'll be able to show you guys the traction control system on this. Basically, you have the four-wheel drive auto that will automatically engage four-wheel drive if it detects slipping at the rear wheel. So it's a rear-wheel drive bias. If it detects slipping, you'll go ahead and put it in all-wheel drive. And then you have the 4 high, which locks the center differential, and the 4 low for the low range gearbox, and it won't shift into 4 low because I'm in park. You have to be in neutral to be able to do that. That's standard for most vehicles. So I'm gonna go ahead and go down the hill. We'll set up the camera. We do have a little bit of an audience out there. I don't know if you can see the deer, but there are a few deer out there watching us today. I'll see if I can get this thing to lift a wheel so you can see the traction. But so just transfer power side to side. All it uses are the brakes. There's no complex systems or anything, but it generally works pretty well for the Nissan vehicles, that brake system. And it has plenty of power, so that it should be able to, you know, climbing any hill at any speeds or whatever, it should be able to apply the brake to the spinning wheel and still have enough power to climb up. No problem. So we'll try it here. This thing has also got a little bit better articulation and the longer wheelbase. And where the Kia Telluride struggled last week, I just drove up it, tried to take a harder line, and had no problem at all. So let's get out and take a try at it. Something to note throughout all of these tests is that I am trying to just crawl, just creep up the hill as slow as I can, and this tests the traction system a lot harder than if I were carrying momentum. A lot of these systems, especially the ones that apply the brake to the spinning wheel, they work a lot better when there is momentum and when you have a little bit more throttle input. When you're crawling and going slower, they struggle a little bit more. They like to be kept around, I don't know, 1800 to 2000 RPM, and just kind of kept at that constant rate. And in this vehicle, for example, it seems to work a lot better in four-wheel drive low, where you can keep the engine RPM up a little bit more while still moving at a slower speed. Also, keep in mind that I'm trying to go as slow as possible, so as it starts to climb and speed up the hill a little bit, I let off. That's not the best way to drive this. Like I said before, it's better to keep a little bit of momentum, keep that speed up. So as you start accelerating, just keep the pedal where it is. Don't add more throttle, but don't take off throttle, and it'll make these climbs a lot easier. The Infiniti QX80 and also the upper trim Armadas have this four-wheel drive auto option. It runs in rear-wheel drive until it detects slip, then it will automatically put it into four-wheel drive, as you can see here. Four-wheel drive high eliminates the center differential, and so you have even power distribution front to rear, and then just like all the other modes, it uses the brakes to stop the spinning wheels, transfer traction to the other side. When placed in low range, the transfer case adds an additional 2.7 to 1 gear ratio, bringing the total crawl ratio up to 38.8 to 1, which is pretty decent for a luxury SUV. I also found here that turning off the traction control seemed to help a lot more. There were a few times with the traction control on when I had my foot on the floor and it wasn't climbing very well. With it off, it seemed to do a little bit better. In the next clip, we'll see underneath the vehicle and how everything is tucked up nicely and out of the way. There aren't a lot of skid plates, but it wouldn't be hard to add skid plates onto these cross members to help protect everything. Overall, I think it is built pretty well to go off-road. Thanks for watching Engine Adventures review of the 2020 Infiniti QX80. If you liked what you saw, or if you're interested in seeing some other vehicles, go ahead and comment below and let me know. Let me know the things you're interested in seeing and what types of tests you want me to do. And also, we have a lot of good stuff coming up. There's a BMW X6 soon, probably the next vehicle, and then the Ford F-250, Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro, the Ford F-250 is with the gas engine. We've got Ram Rebel with the 3-liter diesel. I'm really excited for that one. Just a bunch of good stuff coming up, so if you were interested in any of that, go ahead and hit subscribe, ring the bell to make sure you get notifications, and thanks for watching.